Well, hello and welcome. Today I have a plan to paint a thunderstorm scene. I've got a pretty cool photo that I'll link below as usual. And it's gonna be a painting that's mostly about clouds. So I don't know. I think it will actually be maybe kind of a quick one, but we'll see what happens as I get into it. I want to focus on just getting nice shapes for that. I'm gonna do kind of an impressionist landscape for the landscape portion of it, which is going to be fairly small. I've got a very low horizon line on this one, so it's going to be really a painting that's all about the sky. So I think that should be pretty fun. Yeah, I'm just thinking about my sort of starting colors. I've been doing a process where I've been kind of starting with two main values and just getting those in there really quickly. And then using that as a wet layer to work with everything else afterward. For this one, I've been thinking about trying something a little crazy. Let's see, I should probably decide. I really want to push the values of the sort of lit areas and dark areas. I'm thinking about doing something a little weird, which is going to be sort of flipping their colors initially and then working back over them more in their sort of appropriate color scheme, which might be risky, but I think I'm gonna try it. So thinking about doing, for my dark value, I'm gonna do a warm value, and I think for my light value, I'm gonna do a cool value. Just looking at how this image is working out, I think that should be kind of fun. So we'll find out. So I think for my dark, I'm gonna do maybe a mix of burnt sienna and alizarin crimson, and then for my light, I'm gonna do, I think, you know what? I'm gonna use a new color that I haven't used yet, and that is, I think it's pronounced Sevres blue. I actually have to go grab it because the tube is not even next to me right now. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. It might be crazy, it might be wild, but you know, ultimately this is a kind of, in some ways, a simple painting, so I think that I'll have some space to make adjustments as I need to later. So let's try a crazy thing. So yeah, let's try this. I was thinking about trying out this color just for another blue to play with, because I seem to really love blues. It's really bright. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna mix it. I'm actually gonna mix it with some of this unbleached titanium white, because I also got that and also wanted to play with it. I was thinking, I've been trying to use white kind of only at the end. I'm gonna stick this on my palette in between ultramarine and cobalt right now. And so for like a lot of the earlier stages, I don't need a white that is completely full strength bright white, so I was thinking this might be kind of a good one to throw into the mix. Yeah, I don't know, let's just try it. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna just put a blob of that right on the palette for right now. I'll figure out where it goes later. Yeah, let's see. We'll just do something a little wild. Yeah, it's a good knife for mixing up some basic colors to start with. This is definitely a bit strong for this scene. The scene ultimately, I think, is going to be, I kind of want to have really muted colors, but I was thinking about having these sort of bright underpainting bits sort of peeking out. So we'll find out. try that for my lighter tone. And then let's mix up a, do, let's see, yeah, grab some burnt sienna. Let's do burnt umber as well. And some alizarin. This is going to be very rich. Let's see. I'm tempted to go a little bit more blue, but I'm gonna not do that because that was not my plan for this. So I'm gonna keep it kind of red. All right. And into each of these, I'm going to mix a little linseed oil and a little bit of my lavender spike oil. I'm going to top this up. No, I thought it might work. That would be better. There we go. A few drops there. Grab a little bit of linseed oil for each one. And just gonna one more little drop with my dropper. Just to mostly clean the dropper out. Alright. So mix this up. I think I'm actually gonna put in this darker tone first. Really low horizon line. Alright. I'm gonna use a knife and sketch this in just to gonna go over it with a brush too, but like might as well use what I have here. Like it's thinking that this doesn't need to go on completely full strength everywhere, but for this area here, I actually want it to go on pretty thick. So let's start with that. Okay. And then the other area that I'm kind of seeing here. Darkest area in the clouds. Have some nice opportunities for some little sun rays or something to pop through. This image, well, it's thunder clouds there. I don't actually have any lightning in this, and I might add some. Let's see. Alright, so that's in there. Let's switch over and grab a brush and mostly end up kind of blending this whole area out. I like how this lets me kind of create a lot of motion in the whole painting really quickly. Good. Oh. And then I'll put that down for a second, and I'm gonna mix up this blue, which I actually just put a little of this brown into, but it's okay. Always fun introducing a new color. See what its personality is like. I thought this one, it has a similar, I think it might even have a little bit of phthalo blue in it. But I thought it might be convenient for situations where I feel like phthalo tends to be a pain to mix in or just go on too strong. I thought I could use this, especially for light areas where you just want like a little bit of that tone. I thought this might be a good one. So pop that down. Why waste what's on the knife, right? Okay. I'm not gonna worry about completely cleaning this out right now. Just getting some of it out of the brush. Mostly. I think that it took me a while to figure this out about oil painting, but oil painting, nothing's ever clean. You can be careful, but it's kind of the nature of it too. Be a bit messy, and that's kind of that tendency of everything to kind of blend together is one of its strengths. I like this sort of transition between these two colors that's already starting to happen, actually. Add a little, just because I need a little bit more paint anyway. I'm going to add a little bit more of this titanium. I'm not going to add the white, or I'm not going to add any more of the blue in right now. Let some of these areas drift a little bit lighter. Let's do. I don't know why I keep putting this down on the floor. Sometimes I do silly things. Okay. mix up, could actually just mix up some of my solvent with my linseed oil and have kind of a ready-made mixture. And some people do that once they kind of have a ratio that they like. But I tend to do different things for different parts of the painting, so it just seems easier to not worry about that. I mean, this unbleached titanium is kind of nice. It's just a little bit warmer, kind of like an ivory color. I think this might be nice. I think people use it in portraiture sometimes. It's a convenient one to have in the mix. All right. Okay, that's kind of fun. All right, I kind of like where this is going already. All right, I've got a nice layer to work into, and I think this richness. I think it's going to give a real richness to it. This underpainting, all these warm reds, even though I probably work a lot of them out now, but nice thing is down here I don't have any white in there yet, so the colors will stay nice and sharp. All right. Let's brush off and get into some nice painting. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Feels good already. I don't know. There aren't too many paintings that I don't feel like, I don't know. They usually feel pretty good. On some painting, I'm usually pretty happy. Thinking about trying some bigger ones soon. I haven't quite figured out some of the details of that, but it might just be something to try. Let's wipe the cleaner out of this. This cleaner is nice because it doesn't kind of keeps the brush from drying out, so even if you don't get everything out of it, you won't come back and have your brushes be hard later. So yeah, that's worked out really well for me. Let's see. All right, let's grab a knife. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna start out with this little round guy. I'm not gonna worry about too much about putting in the landscape early. I wanna really work on this. Just all the tones and all the colors kind of coming into the clouds, and then I think I can pretty much just sort of pop the landscape on afterward, or close to afterward. And I think that will also keep that edge with the sky really, really sharp. So let's just start mixing up some colors. I'm seeing some kind of deep blues and purples. So I'm gonna start by making up something in that family. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'll put out a little bit of alizarin here. It's getting a little low. And maybe I'll do, I'm kind of curious if I mix the alizarin with this blue. It won't be a very dark blue, but might not be a very dark purple, but it's kind of a nice plum lavender. It's actually not far off from what I'm looking for here. Might try that. I like trying to use kind of in a given painting kind of the fewest number of colors that I can. I could probably go a little darker than this too. I'm gonna just mix it out a little bit more, and then maybe do one where I mix in a little bit of this viridian. Let's see. It's a little darker. Maybe do a little regular phthalo. It's probably the way to go. Let's see, it's very strong. It's almost like too much though. Mix in some of this brown. I can kind of dull it back a little bit. I think a lot of this is going to be, the tones are kind of muted, so I don't want to go. I'm going to be making lots of different colors of mud, really. Let's try and figure out the ones I want on my palette first, and then start popping them into the painting. That one's pretty good. All right, let's try and put a little bit of this shape in here. Not using a lot of pressure here because I don't actually want this to mix in at this stage. I kind of just want to put it in on top, and then be able to kind of work it a little bit more, add some other things in next to it. Let's keep trying that. I'm gonna try and do a lot with my sort of initial textures too. And leave some little gaps. Funny thing about painting clouds is like there's kind of no rules in terms of their shape. There's no like anatomy to a cloud. I mean, well, I'm sure there actually is now that I'm saying that, but there's no specific anatomy. You know, there's no proportion that is the kind of rule to compare to. Let's do a lighter version of this. So you kind of get to make stuff up, but there are rules to light and what gets lit up, and sort of how much. and getting all these little values in there. It's kind of what gives you the sense of volume, you know. Otherwise if you have all the clouds looking just one way, it'll start looking really flat. Got kind of a shift here. I'm seeing it's kind of like a couple different bands in a way. I like that. That's interesting how this color is kind of, it's like breaking up in the canvas weave. I'm trying to kind of use that a little bit more. For a while I was kind of going through, I don't know, going through a phase. I'm always going through a phase. But I felt like the canvas weave was just kind of getting in the way. And so I wasn't in the mood to use it or deal with it as much. And so I was like kind of into the boards, and now I'm feeling like I'm kind of seeing a purpose to it. It's not, you know, not for everything, but I am seeing situations where it makes sense to me to kind of have it there, and learning to kind of work with it. Really not working with all that many different colors right now. I'm kind of trying to put them in a little bit subtly. And then kind of gonna decide later sort of how much I mix them in. These down here, I'm noticing like there's a lot of like sort of dark and light switches. So I'm trying to leave some gaps in here a little bit clean. Definitely an opportunity to kind of do some kind of more abstract experimenting. I feel like whenever, I mean, it's actually like a really common thing, but if you do like kind of a straight like abstract piece where you've planned that it will be kind of abstract from the beginning, it tends to kind of look a little bit flat, like it's all kind of on one plane. But if you start kind of with like a more spatial inspiration for it, then you can kind of still let it be kind of like pretty and non-specific, but kind of like takes you somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. I'm definitely just rambling. All right. Here, I want to bring in, this is going to be kind of warmer. Maybe even a little of this cat red light. That is crazy. That is crazy stuff right there. I'm going to probably get rid of some of this, but I'm going to just try popping it in for a minute. I do want to start really working this a bit darker. I think this is kind of the trick with, if you want really dramatic lighting, is like not to be afraid to go dark. Almost like slightly like a tornado look to it. Not really what I'm going for, but you can almost see how it could switch. I'm just kind of going along some lines that I already have in here, just kind of creating a little bit of softness. If I want to get it really soft, I'll go switch to a brush and just move it around a little bit. But I feel like the knife keeps me focused on values rather than kind of like moving paint around. And I think that helps the lighting come out kind of better on the whole. A little bit of glare. Okay. All right. Just gonna grab maybe a little cobalt. Get down to this line here. It's definitely easier to get sort of lost in a painting like this. Just because you've got so much movement, so much happening. Let's see, that's pretty good. I'm gonna try something. This is a painting where I try a lot of things, I guess. Let's try this one. I'll put a little bit of extra directionality here. Almost gives you the idea of the sort of sun rays and rain that's coming down here. Again, it's not really represented in the picture, but I feel like it can be represented in my picture. It's a fun thing to do, and it only really will work if you have some kind of decent paints to move around. So try to, let's see. Yeah, I'm in the mood to experiment with marks today, I guess. all different things. I'm really thinking about this as only really working in the darker tones right now. I know I've got highlights, and they're gonna come through, and they're gonna be pretty neat when they do, but I'm not worried about them yet. I do think the longer you can kind of hold off on highlighting, the more you'll kind of get out of the painting later. Despite how fun it is to do. That's pretty fun. Switch over to the brush, I think. And you know what? You almost need like some flatter areas where your eye can kind of rest in here. So I've got that sort of texture laid in, and now I'm kind of working a little bit backwards to kind of create those sort of resting spots. That's the theory anyway. It's going to get a little bit darker, which is fine. Come back in and put some of these highlights back in, but right now I think it's more about creating those spots. That's the theory I'm working with anyway today. And because I laid out all these different values, I'm actually able to kind of work with them in different ways. Let's see. I want to take a big brush to the top area here too. Okay. Little sort of pocket of light in here. A little bit wild. Alright, let's switch. I'm gonna switch and get a big one for a second and then go back to my knife. I think I'm actually gonna switch back to knife now. I'm gonna keep moving with my values and not just stay out of details for a bit. I'm so tempted to go in here and start doing things with this landscape, but gotta stay in the clouds. I think that'll be the right call. So I'm gonna start with, let me get some more of this unbleached titanium, and I don't know where to put it. I'll just put it there for now. And take a little bit of yellow ochre with it even too. Let's see. So I'm gonna just start putting in some of these lighter spots. Some of this is probably almost overkill. I'm gonna add a little bit of actual white. And start just scrubbing this in a bit too. Just want to start getting a little bit brighter. I'm doing the way that I layered the paints in this. I have almost a chance to, well, definitely more than a chance to have this all end up very muddy because I'm mixing, kind of putting a lot of opposite type colors on top of each other. So I'm not too worried about that because I'm not looking to create a really extremely brightly colored painting. If I'm trying to go really, really bright, then I would want my colors to be extremely clean. But here I'm kind of interested in seeing if I can create, like, I don't know, a really kind of muted scene with somewhat vibrant colors. I don't know, that's kind of the theory I'm playing with anyway. I'm gonna keep going there. I'm gonna go a little bit more white. The other area. I like how that's starting to shape up. All right. Take a little and do a little bit of brushing. I'm gonna try again. I want to soften it, but I don't want to lose the shapes that I've got either. So I've been kind of experimenting with this sort of mixed knifed brushed sky for a while now. A while. It's probably been like 2 weeks. So I might have actually been a little too much of that, but we'll just keep trying it. Let's see. Like that, okay. Kind of just feels like the sunlight or the rain. Okay. Keep doing that. I like that sort of feel. This is a sky painting. All right. Clean this out. So as I'm working on, I'm kind of going back and forth and kind of putting in texture, and then I'm getting kind of softer, and then I'm getting brighter, and I'm liking the direction of it. I think I'm gonna keep working the lights a little bit longer until I kind of have those feeling like what I want. And let me start working the bottom half of the painting, or bottom eighth of the painting a little bit more, just so I can start having the colors and get informed by what I have going on down here. Switch knives, I think. Is that what I want to do? I almost wish I had like a really big one of these. I might have to get one at some point. I want to do. I do want to keep working the lights on this. I think I'm gonna keep doing that. Got a little bit more up here that I'd like to see. I almost think that this unbleached titanium is pretty close to the color that I want. I don't need it to be too. Put a little bit of linseed oil in that just to make it move around a little bit easier. Okay. I think I just want this corner up here. This needs to be a little bit flatter, actually. I'll just put some paint in here. Probably. Come back in and brush it out a bit more, but I'll just sort of apply it for now. And then kind of keep coming back to, there's this sort of dark line that is it separates the top and the bottom of this closest cloud. And I want it to be fairly well defined. But it's still a cloud, so it can't be too sharp. Just trying to kind of find its tone. Kind of want it to be a pretty 50% kind of color, so pretty medium gray. Honestly, probably about the color of my palette without paint on it would be about right. This is probably close enough for me to that. Maybe just a little this white, just a little bit lighter. coming back to this line. Because I keep kind of blending things out, I kind of do find myself kind of repainting the same details over and over again, but actually I think it's kind of working. It sort of builds up a little bit more depth that way. It's kind of similar actually to a way that I've worked in charcoal before, where like a lot of times you kind of start drawing, blend things in, blend things out, and it just gives it more depth. Overall. Okay. So that's looking kind of about what I want. And then I want to bring in, let's see what happens if I do burnt sienna, Zephyr's blue. It's probably gets me close to gray. It's pretty greeny right now. Until you kind of get used to these colors, you don't know exactly how they'll interact. They'll have kind of different strengths. I just get this, push it a little toward purple. A little bit of alizarin. Here we go. That's a kind of a good color for this. Just going down sort of one layer below. Then I've got a little bit of a bluer area. So I'm just throwing in a little phthalo, and that sort of helps that all connected as it does. Even a little alizarin will go even more purple. Starts to kind of all tie together that way. A little bit of umber in there maybe. Let's go a little bit darker brown. Keep that kind of sharp there. Let's see. All right. Blend this set out a bit now too. So, kind of trying to keep an eye on these sort of brushstroke angles. Just kind of make them relate to things that I see happening in the scene. Also kind of going back and forth too. So if you do kind of an X shape, it will look even softer. Which for up here, I think I really kind of want this to be almost very bright, but kind of blurred out. A little bit of pressure where it feels like the paint's a little bit more stuck, or maybe like a little bit more thick. There we go. Just move it around. It's pretty good. All right. Do kind of a similar thing here. I'm just gonna soften this a little bit. I don't quite have the balance I want here. I probably should try a smaller brush. Okay, so where's my smaller brush? I'm not sure if this is exactly what I want to use, but I'm just kind of trying it. Kind of going through. In here and do a little bit more with this landscape now. So mixing in a little viridian into this kind of mud color that I had before. Just work on kind of setting in these darkest hills in the background. Kind of had done a brushed line for them, but some opportunity to do a little bit more. So a little bit of, put some viridian and this alizarin together here. Just want to get this back furthest away hill is very dark. Different shaped hills back here too. Some different trees and bushes and things. Kind of dotting the landscape. It's got the look of, some different fields with little rows of plants along the edges of them. Try and kind of work those in. Okay. And then coming up from that, I'm going to mix in a little bit of yellow ochre. And this is for some slightly lighter areas, but they're still definitely in the shade of these clouds. hill over here a little bit. Those are a little bit light in color. I want them to be strong because they're going to help make some of these little buildings stand out, because there's going to be little buildings, which is always fun. Okay, so a lot of these horizontal lines kind of established. It's got all these different planes. There we go. We got some kind of tracks coming in from the field further away. Okay. Switch knives. I'm thinking about getting one of those little magnetic strips that you can use for like kitchen knives. It's probably would help me keep them organized. And there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this titanium and I'm gonna start this little building here. I'm probably gonna scratch out some of that first, but start putting it in. It's got a little peak here. I'm gonna have to probably do something creative to get the rest of this kind of laid out, but just kind of getting some of these shapes established. The little building over here. It's kind of looking good. All right. Then chop that off. And let's see. So little. I kind of like that it's just little smudges of paint in a way. There's a couple other little places along this little line here. Just gonna dot them in. That works. Okay. And then we get to put in some bright green. It's rather bright anyway. I'll put a little bit of Viridian into this titanium to start, and then I'm going to probably pop in some cad yellow. See how we do. Just a little goes a ways with cad yellow. I might have to start this out. Oh, that's good. Still a fairly cool blue-green, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be bright, but I don't know. I'm trying to decide how much I want to push it. Start here with it a little bit muted, and especially for some of these sort of further away spots, I think that's gonna work pretty well. Close, I think it might be better to have a little bit of a more saturated green, which, if I really want to overdo it, then I would use this phthalo yellow green, which, why not? Let's put a little of that there. It's probably a bit overdone. I'm gonna mix it into this pile that I already had so that's not completely gonna take over. And I'm gonna start it over on this side and kind of drag it. And the idea here was I didn't want to do this kind of fully covering. I was thinking that some of these other colors kind of pop through still, so I'm gonna try to leave that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That might work. Put a little more of that, a little more of this. So I get over onto this side, I'm seeing it's a little bit brighter. It's like the clouds are kind of more in the background, and then as you get closer, a little bit less of that. I'll try and figure out kind of my grass texture for this as well. Thinking like right now, I'm just trying to get it kind of onto the canvas. I'll probably move it around a little. Afterwards. It's awkward working at the very bottom of the canvas like this. I keep getting in my own way. Trying to get the sense of these tracks. I'm going backward here in the field. They're not that important to this whole scene, but I like how they kind of lead you into. I like that. That kind of worked. It's almost like as you go further back, you get kind of more horizontal lines close together. Let's see. Okay. All right. Maybe if I just kind of pop this up here for now, and I'm careful, that will kind of work. So a little of that phthalo green shade, a little bit of this yellow ochre. This is pretty bright. I'm trying to get, there's this little field that's back a little ways here. I think this has a good look to it. I don't want to lose it, so trying to get it in here. And then I've got some different bushes and things, kind of, probably trees actually. Just kind of popping up here along that edge. That's kind of good. Okay. Trying to kind of find my way of kind of weaving these different forms together. I'm gonna keep the paint pretty thick and not get too overly detailed, but I want it to kind of hint at everything that's here. So I think just having a lot of different colors kind of overlapping, letting this kind of streak a little bit. There we go. That's kind of nice. Okay. Get a little bit more subtle. I've still got this sort of warm tone poking through, but I don't want it to be, I don't want this texture really taking over the whole painting. I feel like it's good, but it's okay if it softens a little bit. All about kind of finding that right balance. That's pretty cool. Still wanting like a little bit more from these clouds. Just trying to decide kind of where to go with them. It might be the sort of thing that is good to step away from for a little bit and think about, rather than trying to force it a lot more right now. Just brush this edge just a little bit here. It could be all really subtle things now, like definitely easy to get lost. Okay. There's a little area that is really bright right here. That was not what I wanted to do there. I think I'd like to just sort of bring that focus in a little bit. Possibly have to remove some paint. Slip that there for now. Kind of using the knife edge to sharpen this up a little bit here. I've got like sort of clouds descending onto these hills. I want the clouds and the hills to be a little bit more distinct than they are. But it's also a little tricky because I'm dealing with kind of small shapes. It's working okay. I might regret this, but I'm going to try it anyway. This whole painting has been a bit about blending things and wondering if it was a good idea or not. So, I'm going to do that. I just do the whole thing. I didn't blend it out like entirely, just kind of felt like I wanted it to have a simpler look than it was having. So. Now, let's see if I can sort of sharpen it up again in the way that I wanted it to be. Let's go a little darker. Alizarin Meridian. Building back in though, if I can. is kind of a fun knife. I like this one. I get used a little bit more now. Let's see. It's good when you need to fill in kind of a wide area, and also it's kind of working well for me. The way my canvas is positioned right now. I like all this variety in the grass here. I think I want to bring in those tracks that I had. At least a hint of. Let's see. Just kind of putting in the tones where they're going, and then going back over and doing the texturing. Kind of using the same knife for a couple of things. It's like, now I like this and I like this, but I don't really like them together as much. And now I'm kind of trying to decide how much I want to let them just kind of be and how much I want to mess with it and try to make them talk to each other a little bit. Really cool. I don't want to go too crazy with this. This knife is very geometric, so it's gonna. If I go too crazy with this on the clouds, it's probably gonna make them look a little bit more flat. But I think these little sun rays that I kind of had in here, maybe I bring those in. Maybe I use this for that. That might be kind of cool. Let's see. Maybe this way. Take a little bit more of this, a little bit of this. Kind of works better almost horizontally across the sort of the opposite direction of what I was originally thinking, though maybe if it works, it works. Just try it. Okay. Yeah. Play with this. I'm putting in some fairly saturated color now. This is pretty heavy on this surface blue, and this a little bit of this unbleached titanium as well. I'm thinking that I'm going to do kind of an opposite version of this as well. an opposite version of this color, or maybe I do like a more golden toned one. Let's see. Not sure how much of this is even coming through in the video, but we'll see. I just checked the camera. I'm like, I don't know if you can see anything that I just did in the last few minutes, but I'll try to do some zooms. But I'm liking the feel. I feel like it's not that I actually want to shift the colors a ton anyway. I'm kind of mostly thinking about just kind of doing some neat stuff with the forms that I have here. Like that. That's a cool pattern here. Let's see. Sometimes it's just about playing with paint. Let's see. All right. Like that, and that kind of gold and purple. Those are kind of playing off of each other. A little bit of titanium white and yellow ochre. I'm just trying to find a spot for them. I think right here will be okay. Thinking about bringing a little of them down into this upper edge of this cloud. I'm trying to kind of figure out how I want to get these little highlights in on these clouds there. I've kind of put them in and taken them out so many times now, but actually I think this knife's giving me all kinds of ideas. Some of them might be good. about putting in some of these darker tones now. So it's a little risky, but just kind of have to know. There. So no. I don't quite want to bring all that gold up there, but you know that it's there. Oh, it's kind of interesting art. I'll go a little bit more purple. I didn't really know I was going to do this, so I'm a little bit experimenting now, I guess. If I wasn't the whole time. I'm kind of liking how this sort of cross-hatching textures playing into the whole thing. I don't know. A little bit lighter. think, no, I've gotten this upper part of the sky, having all these nice dark areas. I've really got to be fair to the lower part of the sky and do some of that too. That's a lot of paint. Let's sort that out a little bit. A little trickier because there's more kind of going on here, sort of detail-wise. Okay, that's interesting. I think this is one that it will definitely benefit from being a painting that happened all at one time. So I'm not really willing to put it down until I decide it's done. That's sort of how it's feeling to me right now anyway. So I'm gonna keep mixing in some of this alizarin. I'm really just working on these sort of darkest colors now that I see. I'm trying to bring those out. Something a little bit similar to this original background color, just to kind of weave in back here. Oh, I love it. It looks like a mosaic now. I think bringing that background color back in was actually worked really well. Might do a little bit of that up here too. It's funny because that color isn't even really in the painting. I just decided it would be. So I think the next thing I want to do is I really still want to keep bringing lights into this. I'm going to clean off my palette though because it's getting a little bit busy. I think I just need some fresh colors. Sometimes I think that's so. I'll just go ahead and do that. Of this white. I like that it's a little warmer. It's kind of perfect for this. Let's see if I can wrap this up. If I can't, I'll come back to it, but I'm preferring to wrap it up now. So I'm gonna go back to some of my original colors here. I'm just gonna bring this through a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Even try. Maybe I'll try going across here. Like that. I like these upper areas here. They're just too, they're too like long. I don't know. Maybe that one. Something good about it. It's just, let's see, maybe a little phthalo. Maybe that's about right. Okay. Maybe that's that. It's like one more thing. All right. Yeah, I think I might leave this one here. It's kind of a fun exercise. I feel like it's got a good look to it. It's a little weird. It's a little impressionist. It's kind of, I don't know. I kind of feel like I worked out a lot of ideas kind of as I was doing them in the paint, as opposed to kind of having a clear plan and then doing it. Which I think, I don't know, sometimes that's kind of frowned upon, but I think that sometimes it can lead you places that you wouldn't end up otherwise. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're up to next.